Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I am an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. Make sure to check in the description notes below the video where you will find links to all of my online shenanigans, including how to get my patterns to knit up for yourself, how to join the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group, how to support me on Patreon, and where to get my merchandise. And of course, anything that I talk about in the video, if there is a link that I can provide, I will do my best to put it in the description notes. We have a little bit of a vlog today because I have a couple different things that I want to talk to you about just in general. And when I say a couple, I really mean two. I have two things to talk to you about, but you know, a couple sounds more exciting. Well, here's a couple. So I'm going to give y'all, it's a little bit of a sneak peek. It's not something I typically do, but you know, I just released the Second Sock Cowl. I will put a link to the pattern tour video of that. The idea being a cowl that you can knit with 50 grams of yarn, sock weight yarn specifically, that you have left over when you only knit one of a pair of socks and you have second sock syndrome and you don't want to knit another one. And let me tell you, I really enjoyed knitting it. It was fast, it was fun, and I'm like, as soon as I finished it, I wanted to knit another one. So guess what? I was in the store, and we have this spot in the store like underneath the shelf where it's just kind of random balls of partial yarn, and I found this random partial ball of yarn. I know it is, though. It is Life in the Long Grass Moon in the color Poseidon. I weighed it and it was like 65 grams. So I'm like, hey, I could get a second sock cowl out of that. And I did. So I'm like, and of course, the whole point of second sock syndrome is you don't want to knit the same thing twice. And while I had fun knitting the cowl because it was so fast, I didn't want to knit the same cowl twice. So I designed another one. Y'all are probably going to see quite a few of these as I have the time. This one is going to be a little bit different. It has not been blocked yet. As you can see, I haven't even woven in the ends yet, but this one has more lace to it. Just fun. So I hope y'all like these as much as I do. They're like potato chip type knitting. It makes me understand why people like knitting socks so much, because really 50 grams of sock yarn is like just the right amount of knitting before I start getting bored. Which I couldn't knit two, which is why I don't knit pairs of socks. So watch for this one coming up. As I said in the thing, maybe it'll be Second Sock Cowl Junior. If anyone has any suggestions as to naming conventions that I might use if I'm going to be churning out several of these, let me know in the comments below. So sneak peek there, tucking it back into my bag. Happen to have the Second Sock Cowl sitting here as well because I have everything on my desk. So speaking of Second Sock Cowl, that is one of the things I wanted to talk to y'all about, and I'm going to do shared screen so that you can see what I am talking about on the screen. I have two monitors, and so I'll be looking over here so I can see what I'm navigating, and we're going to do a share screen. Doop, here we go. And what this is that the Second Sock Cowl was just released in my Knit Companion store. So this is the store that has on Knit Companion, it's Create to Thrive, and I'll have a link to this in the description notes. You can see up here, Create to Thrive. You can also see all the other things that I've been doing. So probably shouldn't have clicked on that, but you have the Create to Thrive, and this is the shop where you can buy PDF patterns that are already set up for use in Knit Companion. And if you scroll down and look at it, here it is, Second Sock Cowl. I'm clicking on it. It's thinking about it. And you can see here it's $10. Now, it is not $10 in Ravelry. Because what this is over here, what this is they have actually gone in and taken the time to go ahead and set it up for the interface with Knit Companion. So they've done all the work for you. You can import any PDF into Knit Companion, but it takes some time to set it up yourself. So there are plenty of people who want to get it pre-set up. Now, the thing is, the way, and you can see up here where it says link to your Ravelry purchases, the way that Knit Companion works, oh, here, let's click on how it works. So, they're saying that you don't want to purchase the pattern twice, and what you can do is that, and look here, so the PDFs purchased in the shop are automatically added to your Ravelry library, and the designer receives 110% of the PDF purchase price. So just for listing it on Knit Companion, we get actually, a designer gets actually a little bit of extra money because they really want to support indie designers, and I really appreciate that from them. And so what happens is you buy it and it goes into both your Ravelry library and your Knit Companion Create to Thrive library, so you can open it up in Knit Companion. And you can see here, I have been sending them patterns for quite a while. And so here you can see the ones that are available from my shop for there. So like Hazy Shades that just came out, Peephole Hat. I haven't sent them impulse buy. I need to check with them on that. I don't know if I sent it to them or not. Sometimes I feel like it's not complicated enough to need to be in Knit Companion. But for those of you out there who use Knit Companion, let me know if you'd like to see, like, if there's a pattern that isn't currently in this Knit Companion store. If there's one you want to see, let me know in the comments or shoot me an email and I will work on getting it in. And so you can see we've got these, Wrong Lever, Perseverance, Confundo with its color work, the Spagato mitts, all kinds of my patterns are in here already set up for Knit Companion. Let's go to the second page. And, you know, again, I need y'all to know from y'all which ones I need to add. Now, there are probably plenty of you who are watching going, what is Knit Companion? Knit Companion is an app. It is an app for those of you who like working and like knitting from your device, whether it's a tablet or your phone. Knit Companion is actually, a lot of people just adore it, and it really, as you can see, it's a game changer. It can really streamline and help you keep track of your work. It is available for both Apple and Android, and as you can see, there's a free tour that you can take, so if you're interested, go check it out. The Android is relatively new. For a while it was only available on Apple, but now it's available on both platforms. So what we're going to do is we've got this video here that we're going to watch together. Okay, knit more, frog less. So you can put any PDF, any pattern PDF into Knit Companion, and you can either set it up yourself or you can buy one that they've pre-set up. And as you can see, you can highlight and make sure you know what row you're on. It has integrated videos in it that will help you with your instructions. It has, as you can see, these built-in calculators to, like, so if you have a pattern that's like decrease evenly across the row or something like that, that is really cool. Look, there's so much stuff that you can do in this app. So that is the little video that we watched, and it's stopping, and we're going to scroll down. And look here, it says over 1,400 designs that are already set up in their shop. And the shop, my part of the shop, is what I was showing you. And so here, You can pick up any project and know where you are. You've got these little bars that you can use. You can set up highlighting. And it's just, so keep keys handy. So look here. So if you're working on a chart, you can have the chart right below there. And I'm pretty sure that like if you click on that, it shows you what it is here. And if like this key is on a different page, you can see it right next to it. So that is part of the setup process, is they like break it up a little bit so that you can always get to everything. All different counters. If you're making something that has more than one size, you can set what size you're making. Here, you can watch videos inside Knit Companion. Great way to learn a new skill. Calculators, decrease, blanket sizer, get instructions to create a blanket in your size using your gauge. Sleeve taper. It's got a lot of really like huge amount of stuff in it. So if you're the kind of person who likes knitting from a device, you might want to look into Knit Companion. And for those of y'all who already know about Knit Companion, the reason why we're talking about this is because they just added Second Sock Cowl into my pattern store, which it's taken a second. It's thinking about stuff that's probably more about my connection than anything else. So here we go. And you can see it. So that is pretty darn cool. Now we're going to stay in screen share mode because the other thing I wanted to talk to y'all about, I'm so excited. Looky here. Whoop. Yarn Over is an event put on by the Minnesota Knitters Guild right here. The 36th annual, they've been doing this for 36 years, which I think is absolutely amazing. The dates are September 22nd to the 24th. And let's just go here and see who the teachers are. Perhaps. Interesting. Interesting. That is an official account. Look! I am going to be teaching at this event in Minnesota. I am super excited. You know, I do not like traveling, but I love teaching. So the traveling part's very anxiety ridden for me. But once I get there and I get to be with y'all and we get to get our needles into our work, I absolutely love it. So we're going to look at, the other teachers. So Diane Augustin and Denise Bell. Her business, Lost City Knits. She's from Oklahoma. Shetland Isles. We've got all kinds of interesting instructors other than me. I'm just going to scroll through these. I'm trying not to go too fast because when I do, I know it's a little bit nauseating. You might see some of your favorite people here. I'm excited to see Simone. A Seattle designer, sounds really cool. Author of Sock Architecture. Self-taught knitter, author of the Colorwork Bible. That is an amazing book. Lisa Ross, amazing designer, and Ann Weaver, another amazing designer. So those are all the instructors. So now let's go back and take a look at this. Now that you know why we're talking about it, I am going to be teaching and I'm pretty excited. The reason why we're talking about this right now is that the registration for the guild members begins on March 25th. Okay? And then if you are not, so if any of my viewers are members of the guild, you can register on the 25th. And then for everyone else, the date to watch for is April 22nd. Now, more likely than not, I will send out a newsletter in April to remind everyone that it's their opportunity to sign up. So if you're not on my newsletter mailing list, I will put a link in the description notes below, and you're going to want to make sure if you want to be notified. And so this is the dates that you need to be aware of. And it opened a new window so I can go back here. Now there are going to be classes. So we have 15 teachers and 28 classes. We're going to look at the class list in just a minute, but there are also events And then there's a big shopping marketplace that's going to be full of yarn and fiber and all. Shop for your next project, a new knitting bag, buttons, and more related goodies at the free Yarn Over Marketplace. Let's look at the let's look at the tentative schedule. So Friday night, September 22nd, is the opening night social and sampler. And then on the 23rd, the marketplace opens at 8:30. 9 to 12 are the morning classes. Then there's a break for lunch. And then 2 to 5 are the afternoon classes. And then there's a game night. And then the meeting is the next day if you are a guild member. The events page. So casual pizza dinner followed by a sampler of demos and activities. The demos and activities are knitting machine demonstration, spinning demonstration, yoga for knitters, ask a master knitter with Roxanne Richardson. I probably have questions for that. Make your own beaded stitch marker and collaborative service knitting. That would be very interesting. Exhibit, there's a yarn over shawl contest. Then there's game night. So that is all very cool. And let's look at the class list. Okay, here we go. Here's all the information. Classes cost $90 for members or $100 for non-members for the half day, and then double it if you want to take 2 classes in the day. So there is, or the all day class. So there are 2 classes that are going to take all day. Modern Shetland hats, and From Ruler to Reality, designing your first top-down Wrangling sweater. That is really exciting. Let's see here. For the morning classes, we've got a bead knitting workshop, and then there's me. My class, my first class, is tips and tricks for knitting with variegated yarn. So in this class, what I do, and this I'm gonna like have a whole suitcase that is nothing but this class, and we will look at yarn and how to evaluate the yarn, exactly how variegated is it, and what do we need to keep in mind when we're thinking about using that yarn. And once we have a good handle on understanding the yarn, then we'll talk about analyzing patterns to figure out what level of variegation and matching patterns with yarn. And then that's the lecture part, and then there'll be a swatching part where I will teach you stitch patterns that work well with variegated yarn. So that is what that class is. We're going to go back and we have, look at this, knitting with 3 colors at once, altering patterns, make an owl cowl. Owl cowl, that's a fun thing. Easy peasy fearless steeking. Stranded knitting, unlocking the secret of locked floats, roadmap of your feet for perfectly fitting socks, 2-color brioche, whatever Sammy knitting is, that sounds really interesting. Design your own shawl, mend and embellish. And then the afternoon classes, there's a Mobius class, and then my class is the Mosaic and Lace Toolbox class. This is a fast-paced class that will teach you what you need to know to work any of the patterns out of my Mosaic and Lace book, or any of the patterns I've designed using the Mosaic and Lace technique. And what that is combining slip stitch color work with lace techniques. Now, I know that sounds like overwhelming, but it really isn't. If you are fairly comfortable with lace, the color work really doesn't add that much to it. So what this class does is, the beginning is like a little boot camp on how to do mosaic color work, and then we jump into combining that color work with lace and all the tips and tricks and hints that I can give you. So there's swatching and lecture in this class. So this class is one of my favorite classes to teach, and as far as I know, I'm the only person that teaches this class. So then we've got lots more. We've got ambidextrous knitting. We've got favorite heels, creating and navigating complex stranded knitting. So there's just twined knitting. That's really cool. Clever with color, short row sampler. Ooh, if you need to know about short rows, there you go. So that Ooh, ooh, don't too fast. Don't want to make you nauseous. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. So we're going to go back home. There we go. So I'm going to be teaching. If you've been looking for an opportunity to take in-person classes from me and you're in the Minnesota type area, or if that sounds like a fun weekend trip, I would love to see you there. So we're going to go back to full screen. Okay, so that is my vlog. I wanted to tell you about the knit companion patterns and my exciting news about teaching at Yarn Over, and gave you a little sneak peek into a cowl that I just finished knitting up. As I asked, if you have any thoughts on like naming conventions if I knit up a bunch of these cowls, let me know. Also, if you have any, if you're a big knit companion fan and you have any patterns that aren't currently in my knit companion store that you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions, always, I do my best to answer them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, click that like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.